Welcome, guys, to our talk series about the Atlassian Enterprise Cloud. I'm Till from venITure, and today I'm with Kim from Atlassian.
Hi, everyone.
She's my guest today. So, in this talk today, as I mentioned before, we will take care about the stuff from Atlassian Enterprise Cloud, and we will focus on this in this talk series. And today we will look which tools Atlassian provide for your company and how they could fit into your company. So you will learn what Atlassian Cloud is, which advantages you have, and how an implementation can take place in your company. If you have any questions, feel free to write them into the Q&A section or into the chat. We will answer them. So, a quick look through our agenda. First, we start with an introduction about Kim and me. Then we will look through the reasons why so many companies are using Atlassian tools. Then we will have an overview which Atlassian tools are available on the market. Then let's have a look on the news. And the last agenda point, we will have a look at the preview for the next talk. So Kim, maybe you want to introduce yourself a little bit more.
Sure. Thank you, Till. So my name is Kim Kischel. I'm currently a Senior Product Marketing Manager with Atlassian, and I focus on our Cloud Enterprise offering, which is brand new, and we'll hear a little bit more about that throughout this talk and the next. I actually only joined Atlassian in December of last year, but I've spent the last 8+ years in tech across roles in consulting and technical pre-sales, and now I've been focused on the marketing function for the past 4 to 5 years. At Atlassian, I currently lead the go-to-market strategy for a new Cloud Enterprise offering. So anything that you see or will see in the future show up externally kind of encompasses that function. And yeah, Till, go ahead and say a little bit more about you.
Thank you, Kim. Yes, I'm Till. I work now for about 2 years at venITure. I'm here as an IT consultant, and I look through business solutions for our customers in the Atlassian tools and especially in Jira. One of my key projects in the last 2 years was building a full event management into Jira. This was together with our customer ESL. And with the customers, I try to understand what their needs are at the user level and at the company leader level to bring the needs together, build the processes that they fit into the company, and build a tool which helps the company to grow. So what is Atlassian?
Yeah, so let me talk a little bit about Atlassian for those of you who aren't familiar with the company or maybe don't know everything about who we are. So the company was actually founded in 2002 in Sydney by 2 co-founders, friends at the time. They are still friends, and they're actually still leading the company. So we remain a founder-led company, which is really quite a different experience to many larger corporations today. And we've managed since then to grow our customer base to more than 150,000 loyal customers, all driven by more than 4,000 employees at the moment. I think we continue to scratch on that 5,000 mark, but I'm not quite sure where we are at the moment. Today we have 12 offices worldwide across obviously Asia and Europe and other parts of the world. So we are operating worldwide with kind of that headquarters still remaining in Sydney. And then we have a very big branch where most of our marketers sit in the San Francisco office where I am based today. And yeah, given these unprecedented times that we're in at the moment, so our company has been fully remote since March of this year. TBD when and how we will be back in the office. But yeah, we're working fully remote with everyone, and it's actually been a great experience. I mean, we're very lucky to have all the tools at hand needed, and hopefully we'll tell you a little bit more about those today. And last thing I want to do is talk a little bit about our mission for Atlassian, because the mission and even the values of the company are really core to how we operate and how the company is run. Because at our core, we really believe that teamwork is the crucial currency to any company's success. And that's why the founders have chosen that our mission is to unleash the potential of every team. And essentially, Atlassian does so by really trying to provide you with the tools and practices that allow all teams to truly thrive in their productivity and in the way they work together. And we'll dive into this a little bit later in the presentation, but Till, maybe you can first say a few words about venITure now.
Yes, sure. Thank you, Kim. Well, venITure was founded in 2016, so we are now 4 years old. And at the moment, we have locations in Germany, Croatia, and Turkey. Our headquarters is in Germany, here in Cologne. And at the moment, we have more than 100 employees in the whole company group. So as you can see, we are a very fast-growing company at the moment. And in the world of the Atlassian solution partners, we are one of the fastest-growing partners in the world. Well, what are Atlassian solution partners? Let's have a look on this now. The Atlassian Solution Partner Program is a program where companies can take part to bring the Atlassian tools to the market and to introduce it to the companies and to the customers. We take part in this program as a Platinum Enterprise Solution Partner. This is the highest level you can reach, and as that we can offer you higher technical support and a big knowledge about the implementation of Atlassian tools into your environment. Next to the Atlassian tools, we are focusing on software development and quality assurance as well. Last year was a very successful year for us, and because of that, Atlassian awarded us this year the Atlassian Partner of the Year 2019 Rising Star EMEA Award. The reason our special achievement we have in the development of new business opportunities, having tough leadership, and having products and services that complement the Atlassian tools at its best. Now, Markus, our channel manager, wants to say something on this topic as well. Welcome, Markus.
Hi, Till. Thanks. Hi, Kim. Hi, all. Thanks for giving me the chance to be part of this talk series. Yeah, Markus Tilke. I'm part of the Atlassian channel team in the DACH region. And solution partners like venITure are key for us as a vendor to really deliver customized solutions to our joint customers, to really help them to get to the highest possible value of the purchase that they did, and also to prepare them for future growth and future challenges. And then seeing the track record that venITure delivered within only 4 years made it pretty easy to award them with being the rising star across EMEA. venITure has proven knowledge and the capability to think in use cases and business values, which ensures that there's a lot more to come in the future. So I'm looking forward to be part of this journey, and thanks for having me. And yeah, with that, back to you, Till.
Okay, sure. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, let's have another look into the job venITure has and the job the solution partner has in the world of Atlassian. In the beginning, when we come to a customer, we first have a consultation in the conception phase. We will try to, or we find the best tool together with you for your company out of the Atlassian environment to build your processes and digitalize them. And together with you and your user, we will develop a concept to finish this first phase. In the second phase, we will have the installation and configuration. So if you said, well, this is the tool we want to go with, let's install it, then we will take care of that too. And the configuration of your process, of your workflow, will be in our hands as well. So we, together with you and together with your end user, we implement a process which supports your user and not a process, which blocks the user. And the last phase, well, migration and introduction. Migration means we migrate your data. If you're working in Excel or in the G Suite, for example, we can migrate those data into the Atlassian tools and then have the introduction to the end user to get a good change management. You want to have a look at one of our solutions? Well, let's have a look on YouTube. You will find the link later on in the chat, and there you can see our summit talk, Amplifying Collaboration, how ESL Gaming customized Jira to connect teams across the world, on YouTube. It shows the solution of our customer ESL and how Jira helps them to manage their events. Why do so many companies trust in the Atlassian tools? Maybe Kim, you can talk us through this.
Sure. Yeah, like I mentioned in the beginning, today we've built a customer base of more than 150,000 companies really across the globe. And I always like to start out just with a stat, and that's that today we have about 83% of all Fortune 500 companies actually use Atlassian. And the reason that I picked the stat for this particular call and the call series that Till is running is to really show that there's a large amount of enterprises that also use Atlassian. So I think originally, we had a very large customer base of small and medium-sized companies, but today we're really across companies of all sizes, and especially within, the large organizations just as much. 83%, I think, is, a telling stat, and to kind of show our presence in this space. But now let's talk a little bit about how we actually approach building our suite. Until if you could move to the next slide. Great. So from talking to many of our customers, we really see a set of common trends around the business priorities across them as they work and try to essentially set themselves up for future growth and the longevity in the market. And a couple of things that we see here is that your competitive advantage really matters. Like whatever industry or space you work in, disruptors are always lurking around every corner, and you need to be super vigilant to really future-proof yourself to compete in the long term. And from talking to many IT departments, it's always the notion of like, well, this year you need to do more, but with less. And so it's kind of that ongoing challenge of staying competitive, but actually having sometimes lesser resources, whether that's monetary or in the personnel space. And at the same time, we believe that today actually every company is a software company, because with R&D really being the key to driving and achieving your company's business priorities, that makes all of you often a software company. And so as companies strive to achieve these priorities, they often run into some significant challenges along the way. And that's really where they try to compete. And so we kind of look at, these three distinct pillars here. One is scaling your organization and transforming by meeting and exceeding those goals along with it. Then the second one, whether agility is part of you being a software company or agility across other parts of your business, but it's really about delivering on time, on budget, but with the highest quality and precision to really meet that competitive edge that I talked a little bit about earlier. And then the last thing, rapid innovation. We can never stand still, right? Whether it's, your established business that's been in the market for so long. Today, the markets act so fast, new competitors come up, whether it's in the form of startups or existing companies branching out into your space. Future-proofing to be able to compete and retain customers as part, and remain and have them remain loyal to you today and beyond is really key. And across these kind of 3 pillars, if you will, that's really where Atlassian comes in. We want to help organizations along this transformation journey and ultimately help you compete better in whatever space you're in with the tools that we can offer you. And so as enterprises continue to implement different solutions to meet these goals, they often today choose Atlassian really to provide them the right thing, because we have a breadth of products to kind of tailor and target different parts of the company. And we'll go into those in a little bit, but for us and driving that teamwork mission is really all about helping you transform and addressing all of the business challenges that you face to make sure you can stay competitive. So that's a little bit of a high level overview of like how we approach how we build things and how we want to help our customers. But Till, maybe you can make that a little bit more concrete from how you actually work with customers across the Atlassian suite.
Yes, sure. Thank you, Kim. So let's have a look at an example. These teams, for example, can all use and can all work together in the Atlassian tools. But at the moment in the company, they are living in silos. They have connected processes, but they all have their own software, and these softwares are not connected. So they are living in a box, most of the time a box made by their department. But as I said before, the teams have connected processes. And when you think of a project with people of sales, product, engineering, and marketing, together with a project manager, we see where the problems are. So these departments are part of one project. They are using different softwares which they have in the team. For example, Salesforce and the sales team. When we have a look in the situation of the project manager, he stands outside of the departments, and he needs to get the information from each department or from each team member to get an overview of the project status. And there are the difficulties if all the departments have their own software. This is the same position like a company leader may have when you want to get a company status over the whole company. With the Atlassian toolset, we are able to bring the teams together. We can merge them into one system. That doesn't mean that we have to remove existing tools because they are great in what they are doing. But sometimes we are using just 20% of the possibilities of tools, which are very expensive. In that case, we can build your process into the Atlassian platform. And if you cannot survive without that tool, let's just bring the data to the Atlassian tools. That means we link the data into the Atlassian tools. These, for example, can be the spider in the web of different tools and different teams. So we bring all the information together in one point. If we replace your given software with Atlassian tools, or we just link the data into these, the result is that all the key data are in the same tool. And this is what we call the spider in the web. We are using one tool as a collector of data. The people have one interface to interact with different departments. This breaks down the barriers between the teams and removes the silos. But departments can use the expert software or the special workflows to work efficiently, because we can bring the data into the same tool as the other people are using. With the key data in one place, the project manager can generate the overview he needs. He can have a look into the overall progress without manual analysis of different tools, which he needs to make before. So what did we have before we used the Atlassian tools? We had teams and silos. We had no connectivity between the teams, even if they have connected processes, because everyone has their own software. We had manual analysis to get overall reports, and this is very much effort to generate these. And we had expensive expensive expert software, even if we don't use them fully and just, for example, for 20%. So after we used the Atlassian tools, we connected the teams because we have brought them into the same system without any media breaks, and we have the same interface for everyone. We have all the key data in one tool, which means we can generate easy overall reports for project status or for the whole company status. And with having expert workflows of departments in Jira, we can remove high cost software for the experts and reduce the cost like that. So, Kim, would you like to introduce these tools to us?
Yeah, so let me maybe start out by saying that Atlassian currently has a product suite of 15 different products and tools that we offer to customers. Now, we're obviously not going to go in depth into every single one, but I just wanted to kind of use this chance to kind of give you an overview of the different categories that we really focus on with our offering and kind of the distinct tools and categories that they fit in. So we see that many of our customers and enterprises especially really continue to implement solutions to meet their goals with Atlassian because we can connect the dots really well for them. Across teams, across workflows, and really across the different and entire life cycle of the different functions within their business. And so whether that's from design to product, through the actual dev teams, and all the way to operations and support, which you can see on the far right, we've designed tools to power teamwork through seamless and interconnected thread across all of those kind of functions. And that really does include creating visibility for leaders as well at all levels, where, for example, Jira Align ensures that the C-suite doesn't become that, that ivory tower all the way up there, but instead really continues to move forward in a decisive and informed way. So everything is very much open and accessible in a sense. And ultimately, our tools not only connect teams, but they also bring together the different solutions across Agile and DevOps and ITSM to support the multiple business objectives across the org, right? We know that many companies are very much still on a journey, bringing dev and ops together, and establishing ITSM as an integrated function. And so with the tool sets, we essentially try to simply make that process a little bit more easy. And as I go forward now, I'm actually going to give you a couple of examples that actually show the tools that align with kind of those three categories. So let's start with Agile. Agile development, really the way that we look at it is that continuous loop process that involves multiple teams and tools and all really focused on the creation of a product and ultimately delivering that product. As you can see here, we actually have quite a lot of tools that facilitate that particular set of Agile practices. And here at the top left, what you can see is Jira Software, which hopefully many of you know is one of our flagship products and the first product that actually Atlassian went to market with. So initially Atlassian was Jira Software. Jira Core, which is essentially a slightly, condensed version of Jira Software. And then, additional tools that kind of facilitate that Agile process throughout its life cycle across Jira Service Desk, Jira Align, Trello, which is a more recent addition to the Atlassian family and was actually part of an acquisition, and then Confluence, which, depending on how familiar you are with it, is another one of our flagship products really, and it's all about, really communication and bringing team content together. And so kind of the list goes on, And this is just like, from my perspective, a brief overview of this particular process. We will later on, until we'll give a couple of examples of, you know, what are those particular tools actually used for in a real world scenario. And for now, let's go to the DevOps category quickly. So DevOps for us, we're really seeing that DevOps practices as an extension into the IT operations arena. DevOps and IT ops, the way we see it, really enable teams to bring software developers and the IT ops department together to collaborate, but also resolve incidents faster so that your services are always operational. And within incident management, as an example, OpsGenie today provides the alerting and incident workflows that really complement the workflow management underpinnings of Jira products that we kind of saw in that Agile area before, but also really show up here. And then the document creation capabilities of Confluence for runbooks and postmortems. And lastly, the real-time status communication that status page would enable you to do in this particular example. So again, I'm kind of running through that entire DevOps loop, if you will, across the different products. And I do want to mention, of course, that we see customers find very creative solutions on how to use our products in a way that we never intended them to be used, right? And that's perfectly okay. We absolutely want to see that. And the tools are designed for that. But obviously, as we bring them to market, we have kind of, you know, an initial idea of how we want to support common processes that we know from our customers. So those are kind of the ones that I'm speaking to today. And then lastly is kind of the ITSM and IT ops function. And so as the role of IT grows essentially in every organization, these agile approaches inside of IT service management really enable IT teams to be more responsive around the delivery of services in and outside of the organizations. And so IT departments are really trying to operate like SWS teams with agents using more iterative learning processes to really speed time to resolution and increase customer satisfaction, right? So like making everything more self-accessible and having an ability for, you know, the end user at the end of the day self-serve across more things here is really key to driving some of these use cases. And yeah, so Till, if you can maybe go to the next slide here, and Till will walk you through this in a couple of seconds. But these are some real world scenarios that I tied up easier. And Till, maybe you can speak from experience here and actually provide some concrete examples of how your customers or our joint customers are using these different tools.
So let's start with Jira Software. You can plan your work very easily in here because you can create Agile boards for your teams or per person. And in these Agile boards, even if it's Kanban or Scrum, you can break down the work packages which you have to do and see the status of each task very easily on these boards. And as we see in the example above, even if it's on a higher level infrastructure, you can connect interfaces with this tool very well. This is something like in the example shown before. You can bring the teams together in one tool, remove the software barriers, and connect the processes with Jira Software. Well, with Jira Service Desk, with its clearly customer portal, you can track your customer requests very, very easily. So the customers can raise a ticket in the customer portal, and you can track the ticket, know how long it takes to resolve one of those tickets, and in the customer portal you can customize this one as you like as part of your CI in the company. You can use the customer portal for HR, IT, or as a first company contact form. Connected to this service desk, you can use a knowledge base which is based in Confluence. The results of this knowledge base are directly shown while you create a ticket. The results are based on the words in the request form. So you have a great integration from Confluence into Service Desk, and this makes self-service possible. That means that you prevent your user from creating tickets and helping them to solve their problems on their own. Another function you can do with Confluence is having an intranet or extranet solution. You can use Confluence on its own to inform your employees or your customer about the newest company news and other stuff going on in your company. If you decided to host one of these, well, Kim, maybe you can show us how you can host them.
Sure. Yeah, so you essentially have a few options of how you want to, host or essentially deploy your Atlassian solutions, and we kind of differentiate between, on-premises, which actually includes server, which is entirely self-hosted, of course, but also data center, which I guess is a little bit of a mix of, on-prem and cloud, because technically you're using a cloud service in that instance, whether it's AWS or Azure or GCP, but you are still completely self-managing that deployment. And then for those particular hosting options, of course, you need your own server. So whether that sits within your own data center or whether that sits within a cloud platform is up to you, and your own infrastructure management around it, of course. In the cloud, on the other side, so that's a complete SaaS offering, software as a service. And as the name says, we take care of that complete hosting and updating and all the standard practices that come with self-hosting that you essentially hand over to Atlassian. It's hosted within the Atlassian Cloud, which for us runs within AWS, but that's not for you to, that's essentially just, you kind of leave it up to us to ensure reliability and performance in that sense. And within the cloud, for our particular flagship products that you saw on the previous page, so that's Jira Software, Jira Service Desk, and Confluence. Just to repeat that, we actually today have 3+1, and I'll explain the +1 in a second, plans for you to choose from. So that's the free plan, the standard plan. Free is essentially kind of for the beginners, smaller companies, private persons, or if you're just trying to kind of get an idea of what our cloud offers. Then standard, really for the smaller mid-sized companies. And premium it was released about a year ago. And that's definitely for the mid-sized and bigger companies that are trying to scale or scaling rapidly, and adds functionality also in the product space. So with the premium plan, we kind of start differentiating not only on the performance and platform side, but also kind of on the product capability side. And I know that in the next talk, Till and his co-speaker will dive into this a lot deeper for you to better understand which plan may or may not be the right one for you. And then lastly, the brand new enterprise plan, which we announced this year in April during the remote summit, that's really designed to meet very specific needs of large global corporations. It is not available in the market just yet, but we announced kind of, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, kind of what it encompasses and kind of the capabilities that are going to be included. So that's kind of one of the exciting things that will be upcoming, but that we've already shared with the market. Yeah, Till, do you maybe quickly want to walk our audience through what are maybe some of the pros and considerations as they walk through that process of which deployment mechanism is best for me?
Sure. So thank you, Kim. Let's start with the pro and considerations for on-premise. Well, On-premise, it's your own server and your own responsibility, so you are able to schedule your updates whenever you want. And if you think that your instance is too slow for your needs because you have many automations or other stuff in your Atlassian tools which need much performance, well, you can give it a boost if you like. In the on-premise versions, you have more customization possibilities because you have access to the backend where you can change some Java or HTML stuff. And well, it's your server, you know where your server is. Data residency is no problem here. But we will show you in the next talk, in talk 2, in 2 days, why this is no problem with Enterprise Cloud as well. On the consideration side, well, you need own infrastructure investments, or you need to pay someone to manage your hosting. But these persons or these companies need to be capable to host the Atlassian tools. You have to take care for the security updates because you are responsible for the safety risk which your server may have. And you need your own server administration because you have to take care of the backups and so on. Let's have a look at the pros and the considerations for cloud, Kim.
Sure. Yeah, so on the pro side, and obviously this is very generic and many of you may be familiar with kind of the benefits of considering SaaS solutions, but of course, scaling is extremely easy, right? Whether your company is growing really fast or you're expanding a particular product into different parts of your business, you don't need that upfront investment in infrastructure or any type of planning. You simply expand the user tiers and add new users to your licensing model. And so that just gives you the ability to be super agile and just act on the demand from the business super quickly, which obviously goes hand in hand with that no infrastructure overhead. One, of course, the planning that I've just mentioned, but also the admin side of it, right? You no longer need to worry about patching, about keeping the infrastructure up to date. You kind of take those, almost boring tasks from the IT department and potentially enable them to focus on, slightly different tasks, maybe some more strategic tasks because that, basic the need is kind of covered by the SaaS solution. Unlisted under pros, we kind of have the way that billing works. You can choose between monthly or annual invoicing. So whatever works best for your business, you can actually choose from here, which just gives clients additional flexibility. And then just because this is especially important to a lot of European customers, GDPR, things like data residency being a big factor here. And we'll talk a lot more about that in the second talk this Thursday, I believe, on what that exactly means and how we kind of address that with our cloud solutions, but also sandboxing, which gives you kind of an included capability to test out any changes, any updates that we roll out before they actually hit production. And it's just part of the environment that you get with your Atlassian solutions. But of course, there's always things to consider. Today, the single instance that we can provide in the cloud does have existing limitations of up to 10,000 users at the moment. So depending on the size of your company and whether you want a single instance with more than 10,000 users, that's just something to consider. So if you have needs beyond that, then you may want to look at DC as an alternative option here. Second thing is limited customization capabilities. Now you can see that as a pro or a consideration, and in my opinion, because the more customization, the bigger the overhead becomes a lot, for IT, and no matter what changes you try to roll out. So it's just something, that we're super open about in terms of customization capabilities, but You may know this from other SaaS solutions that have moved from the on-prem world, that customization usually kind of downsizes a little bit to really standardize more and help make that continuous updating that happens in the cloud simply easier. And then the last thing here, the way that our SaaS solution is licensed is per user license, per user per instance for free to premium, and then per user with unlimited instances in the enterprise space. And that's not a negative thing, that's just something to consider as you work through this with your purchasing department potentially. Yeah, and that's a little bit an overview of cloud, and Till is now just going to summarize the key facts that we really want you to keep in mind as you make that decision.
Okay, let's have a look at the key facts. So the first thing is cloud offers per user subscription model. Well, if you just have one more person, for example, you have a 500 user license and you have now one more person with, and you have 501 users, you just have to pay for 501 users in the cloud. With on-prem, you need a license and the hosting separately, which means you have to take care of two things. In the cloud, you have software as a service, which means you just have to pay monthly or yearly and you get everything you need, the instance, the license, and the server in the backend. On-premise, you have more customization possibilities, and as Kim mentioned before, well, you can see and decide on your own if this is pro or consideration, because more customization means more effort and maybe it makes the updates not that easy. Okay, what's new at Atlassian? So what are the news which we have in 2020? Well, we mentioned that before. We have now the free plan available. Up to 3 agents, Jira Service Desk doesn't cost anything for you, and up to 10 users, the other cloud products are for free. You have limited storage, you have just 2 GB, 2 gigs, which are available, and you have the Atlassian community, which will help you at its best to support if you need any help. And the limitations in the configuration of the products, well, the permissions, we have not the full features to work through the permissions of the tools. We cannot provide you the audit logs. So if you have any problems, we cannot provide you the logs from the server, and the email notifications are not available in the free plan. Then the enterprise news, Kim.
Yes, I mentioned this a little bit earlier. We announced this plan in April, and it's not quite available in the market, but we're working diligently towards making that available. And essentially, this is the one that's really designed around the needs for global organizations. And so what that means from kind of a actual capability perspective in terms of what's included here, are a few things. One thing being what we call unlimited horizontal scale, which essentially means you can have as many instances as you want under the same company umbrella that you manage centrally, right? With that central management really being the key here, rather than having kind of the disparate instances that you have to all like manage individually. Then the second thing is data residency, or the ability to control where does my data actually live and where it is hosted. So while today we kind of enable you to orient data hosting as close to you as possible across the different data regions that we've got with the Atlassian Cloud, we don't guarantee that the data always stays there. But with, kind of GDPR and other legal restrictions or concerns, data residency and actually being able to say, I want my data to only live in Europe or to only live in the US, is super key to a lot of companies. And so with the enterprise plan, that's going to be available. Enterprise Sandbox, I mentioned that a little bit earlier, really just having that connected sandbox environment where you can easily almost, you know, you have a replica of your production environment and then can easily toggle updates from, you know, that you've tested in the sandbox and just kind of push them over into production in a really efficient and safe manner. Release tracks. So this is a response to something that we heard a lot from customers, is just them being able to control when updates hit their production in the cloud. So with release tracks, we're giving you that ability. Then an slightly increased service level agreement, 99.9% is what you get with the premium plan. So we've added another 5 to that end with the enterprise plan. And then also highest level of support that you will get, so even further increase from the premium support. And then lastly, something that we call centralized user billing, which essentially means you buy one user license and that user can live on as many instances as you want to assign him or her to. Yeah, so that's kind of a brief overview. And then the last thing we quickly want to talk about is Cloud Migration Assistant.
Yes, sorry to interrupt you for a short time, Kim, but just want to say we will talk in detail about data residency, the sandbox, and the centralized user billing, together with the unlimited horizontal scale. So if you have any questions, I think we will answer them in this talk too. And Enterprise Plan is now in the early access program. So if you have any idea that you want to use it, you can contact us and we can have a look if we find a way to get you into the early access program. Now,
thanks for mentioning that. I totally forgot to say that.
No worries.
Call out there. Yeah, and then the last thing, just our Cloud Migration Assistant, because we see more and more companies really wanting to make that shift to a fully, you know, cloud managed solution. We've built 2 migration assistants for Confluence Cloud as well as for the Jira Cloud, which that one is currently in beta. And the Confluence Cloud Migration Assistant essentially is a free app for server and data center that allows you to easily move multiple spaces to the cloud at once, migrate users, migrate your groups, and then also monitor the progress on the back end, because obviously depending on how much data and users you have, that will affect the time that it takes to move everything over. And for both of them, we've also recently released a new app assessment functionality, because obviously we know that apps are kind of a critical part for almost any Jira or Confluence customer that we've got. And so we wanted to make sure that you're also able to really, most of the functionality, you know, test that against our marketplace availability in the cloud, and then have a decision framework on whether and how you can move those over to the cloud with you. We're definitely looking at more features that will be, you know, released as we go ahead to further improve the migration assistance. But our core goal is really ensure, you know, no data loss, and have a more seamless process for you rather than using, you know, CSV files and other more overhead, harder manual steps as you migrate over, because we want that to be a great experience from the start for you. Yeah, so those are kind of the 3 key news items that I think we wanted to almost end the talk with. And I know Till will now open up for questions unless you have anything else to add.
The next talk, I will be together with Nguyen. Nguyen is a principal product manager at Atlassian and in the team Atlassian Cloud Platform. And we will talk about why Atlassian Enterprise Cloud is the best solution for your company. It takes place at the 18th of June at 11 a.m. Central Europe time. He will be together with me, and we will talk through the specific topics of data residency, GDPR, and talk more in detail about the different plans which Atlassian offers you in the Atlassian Cloud Platform. So I hope to see you all there in 2 days again. And yeah, this will be the last slide. Thank you for your attention.